Yo, 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 what up, everybody? This is the Grind2Hard podcast. I'm your host, Chef Clay. Catch me on IG doing my thing at Keeping It PC. That's keepingit.p.c. My job here in El Paso, Texas is a personal chef, and I'm blessed to go inside people's homes and cook for individuals and families as a career. My passion is food and serving amazing plates. The Grind2Hard podcast aims to help you find your passions in life and ultimately add a little more happiness to your journey. Our focus here on this platform is entrepreneurship and motivation. I believe we are all climbing the mountain of success and looking for our own personal greatness. We are with you 100% here at the Grind2Hard podcast. This will be the episode number 64. I want to give a shout out once again to the amazing studio and the preparation work that this gentleman does here at the studio. As you can see, there's high definition audio and visuals. This is due to the Nevermore Records and Paul Ward, the owner and producer here. If you'd like to start your own podcast, contact Paul at the number shown at the beginning of the podcast. Also, we are definitely looking for sponsors to help carry out the mission here at Grind2Hard, so reach out and inquire with us. So today's a special episode for any chef, or especially me, this chef right here. We have our guest, Chef Rico Torres. So thank you, sir, for being on here. Yeah, appreciate you. He and Chef Diego Galicia are executive chef owners at Mixtli. It's a progressive Mexican culinaria in San Antonio, Texas. They've got many awards as far as like food and wine, best new chefs. Beard Award nominee 2018, 22, 24. Most notably, Outstanding Restaurant, top 5 in the USA. They have a 4-diamond award from the AAA. Express News, can you go into that real quick? You said you had...
Yeah. So Express News, San Antonio Express News in San Antonio. They named Michelin #1 out of top 100 restaurants in the city, and then most recently #1 top 25 Mexican restaurants in the city as well.
Congratulations.
That's the title we've had about 3 or 4 years.
3 or 4 years? Yeah. And how long has Michelin been open?
11.
11 years. Excellent. Well, congratulations on that. And one thing we're going to talk about is he's the founder of Family Meal here in El Paso, Texas. If you're in San Antonio, though, look for Michelin Restaurant, because they also have the cellar at Michelin and the bar at Michelin. So there's definitely something for your palate if you're in town for a vacation or you actually live there and don't even know about it. And the most prestigious award achieved this year, Michelin-starred. Awarded for quality of the ingredients used, mastery of flavor and cooking techniques, the personality of the chef in his cuisine, value for money, and consistency between visits. So, man, congratulations on all those awards, and thank you for taking your time to come on and be on the podcast, Mr. Chef.
Yeah, absolutely. On top of that Michelin-starred, a little cherry on top, our service team. So our sommelier, Haley Pruitt, our bar director, Lauren Beckman, also took home the service award in Texas, the only one given out in the state.
Wow. So, what a team you have, honestly, because everybody's so dedicated. As I looked at your Instagram for Michelin and yourself, there's like just dedicated people that are real serious and focused about the mission of Michelin.
A players all the way.
Excellent. So shout out to all the team at Michelin. It's really inspiring to see what you guys are doing over there, and it's inspiring for all chefs here in El Paso, definitely, because I understand you're from El Paso.
I am born and raised back in 78.
Excellent. And what school? What area did you grow up in?
I grew up on the east side, but I went to St. Raphael's and then Cathedral.
Okay, St. Raphael's, that's where I go to church. Excellent, that's what's up. So basically, I wanted to ask real quick about Michelin Restaurant. Like, what's the mission of Michelin? Like when you opened it 11 years ago?
Yeah. So, well, first of all, Michelin means cloud in Nahuatl. That's the language spoken throughout the Aztec Empire. Nahuatl. Okay. And in the way that clouds travel, our menus travel. So state to state, region to region. Sometimes we use a restaurant like a time machine, and we'll travel back in time. So, for example, the menu that we're doing right now is called La Conquista, the conquest of Mexico by the Spaniards. And so we'll travel back to 1519 and follow Hernan Cortez as he treks across the Gulf of Mexico and into the actual country, and then the consequent fall of the Aztec Empire.
Wow, that's impressive. Honestly, I do 4-course menus, and I'll talk about the food and maybe how the wine pairs with it, but that's a whole story with the food. Do you do like a history research yourself, or do you have research?
No, we do. I do a lot of I do most of the research. I also sit on the board with UTSA Libraries back at home, and so they have a special collections department of Mexican cookbooks that is around 3,000 volumes now, dating back to 1789. Wow. And so it's like manuscripts, it's diaries, it's recipes, and then it kind of moves into printed books, all the way up to modern times.
That's
it's a cool. great collection to have at our arsenal. So always a lot of reading, always a lot of research.
Gosh, it seems like it. And so as you you do the research, are you looking for the food, or are you kind of like seeing the history and then go finding the foods of that time?
Both. Looking for the narrative of that time. Okay. Looking for angles, looking for ingredients.
Sure.
Looking to see what was arriving, what was not arriving, what was nostalgic, what was getting recreated or rebranded. Who is it written for? Who is missing from this story? Because at the same time, especially right after 1821, you see that these books are changing and they're really trying to identify the narrative of Mexico as who are we as Mexicans, right? Because they had just gained independence from Spain, and so that's the first time that you see things like tequila and tacos and the mariachis being like that identifier of a Mexican party, and that kind of moves into its own place. But a lot of times it also says like, well, only men are writing these books, only men are producing these books, and it takes away some of the agency from some of the real creators that actually created the foods or cooking the foods.
Right. And you're talking about like the women in the kitchen too. Is that what you're talking about? Excellent. Yeah, because I mean, I was definitely inspired by the women in my family. Like my grandmother, I mean, when she cooked, you knew it, you could smell it. She had the beans soaking overnight. She was cooking the tripitas, and it would smell up the whole house. But those are the deep flavors and the long cooking that really puts in that love.
They're the real executive chefs.
100%, 100%. So in 11 years, you accumulated some of these awards, and you and Chef Diego have stayed together the whole time. You have conspired to do all this.
It was never about finding the next award. It's always about the next best experience at the restaurant.
Absolutely. And I don't mean to disdain your restaurant whatsoever. It's just that throughout the years, I think now you're getting that respect for all the work you've been doing, and those are proof in the pudding that you're actually doing it sincerely from the heart, and these plates are showing to all these people and insiders that are coming to your restaurant. So what was like one of the first times that you put some plates out and then you were noticing like, oh man, these people really like what I'm offering. I'm getting the reception that
maybe like 2001, 2002 at Logan's. Jumped in on the grill. And busted out an entire night worth of steaks and no returns.
No returns? That's what's up. Yeah.
That's when I started feeling like, everybody's cool. Like they're liking what I'm doing.
I like that because if you're a grill cook or any kind of station cook, once you send out food and it's always it's never coming back, and the waiters are like, thanks man, I appreciate that. That's when you start feeling really good about yourself, honestly. Absolutely. So let me ask you, let's go back to like before Michelin, when you were in like high school. You said you went to St. Rayfields, right?
St. Rayfields and then Cathedral.
Okay, excellent. So in that time, I guess you were getting a pretty good education. What was your aspiration once you left high school?
I wanted to be in film production. So my senior year at Cathedral, I was working at Univision for free. I mean, I wasn't even an intern because there was actually interns there from the colleges around town. I just wanted to go learn. So they let me in. I got to set up the camera on a live shoot. I got to do linear editing. I got to do voiceovers. I got to work camera 3 during the 5 o'clock news.
Wow.
Never the teleprompt.
Never the teleprompt? You don't want to be responsible for that.
No, they would not let anybody else touch that except the man that was in charge of it. But it was a great time. I learned a lot of cool things.
And so were you inspired to like keep going with something further with that career?
Yeah, when I got to San Antonio, it was the same thing. So my whole life, it's always been about art. It's been about painting, this and that. I went to art school right after high school in Tempe, and I was there for about 8 months. And I was like, this isn't going to work. Like, I'm not liking it here. There's no culture here. I need a bounce. So I ended up going back to San Antonio, never having been there before, but I had friends there. And right away I felt that vibe, and I was like, okay, this is going to be home.
What age was that? Like 19, 20?
Yeah, 19.
Okay.
About 19.
Yeah, it takes a little while after high school once you to kind of like firmly plant your feet somewhere a little bit, you know what I mean, and try to find your aspiration, where you're going anyway.
Yeah.
So you talk about culture. It seems like maybe family is like a big orientation in your life, big influence in your life.
Always. Watching grandma cooking in the kitchen and like using her magic to gather the whole family together every week was something really special.
Great.
On top of that, she was awesome at everything that she made. So and she was a seamstress, like a really dope seamstress that would make these incredible wedding dresses with the cola, the train.
Wow.
That would run maybe 15, 20 feet long and just hand stitched sequences. So just like a real genius at what she was doing.
So art, she was doing her own art.
Everything was art. Yeah. And when I talk about art, it's not just like drawing and painting. It's about how you live in. It's about how you treat other people. It's about how you approach service during the dining period of the evening.
Sure.
it's everything.
So. Yeah, absolutely. I've had people on and chefs and things like that, and they don't even, sometimes they don't even say artists, they say creatives, they say these different words, but it all means pretty much the same thing when you're
life artist.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny. But as far as like culture, when did you become deep rooted? Like I need to, push that forward in my career and things like that?
So around 2003, after having been fired from every job I've ever worked at.
Wow.
For
having that personality.
Because I mean, I always feel like I could do it better. Or
sure.
I don't want to have to, I don't take orders well.
You know what? So, I told Chef Brendan this same thing. Ego, it sounds like a bad thing. It has negative connotations, but actually that's what gets you where you're going. And that's exactly what got him to where he's going. So I know that you just followed your instincts at that point.
Yeah, I was following my instincts like, hey, this could be done better. Mm-hmm. And so after changing recipes at Macaroni Grill, Logan's, and all these other restaurants that I had been working at.
Sure.
They were done with me, and I was done with them. And I started a catering company, kind of hit the ground running. Okay. I didn't really have a lot of culinary experience, so I would take a deposit and learn. I'd say yes, and then figure it out, and then execute.
Very amiable,
by the day of. And so I did that for about 10 years, but I spent too much time by myself. And then I got to this point where I was like, I really need a change in my life. And we had just had a baby, and my wife had done her 6 months maternity leave, and I said, I'm going to take a paternity leave myself and spend some time with my son and reevaluate my life. At that point, I had already known Chef Diego for a couple of years from us doing some pop-ups with some other dudes, and we started collaborating on the idea of let's open up our own spot. And the name Mixtli came up, and the idea of focusing on just Mexican food. And so that really resonated with me. I had read something about Rene Redzepi, how he had finally just decided he was going to focus on Nordic cuisine, and I felt that I had been all over the place and I really needed to focus. Okay. And so that was a decision that was easier to come. It was scary enough, but not too scary. It was challenging, and it resonated. So I needed those three things to make that choice, and that's what we did. So I quit catering. I sold my stuff. Diego was corporate chef at Taco Cabana. He hated it, and we hit the ground running with Mixtli, and we threw all the rules of the restaurant out the window. 10-course tasting menu, prepaid reservation.
From the get-go.
Wow. Self-prescribed experts in Mexican cuisine in the city, because we were in a situation where it was very much a diluted version of Tex-Mex, and we were only about 200 miles away from the border. We needed to.
Absolutely.
We wanted to really start making some waves.
Wow.
And so our first dinner in the train car, which is what we could afford, a train car. We started the whole business with $25K.
Kind of like Track One type, or like Track One here in El Paso?
I don't know what that is.
But it's an actual train car? You just made it into a restaurant?
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah.
It was a 1930s refrigeration train car. There was 8 of them lined up in this area in San Antonio, and that's what we could afford. They had somebody that turned them into retail.
That sounds cool, man. That sounds really neat.
And so we did that, and our first table was baptism by fire. Our first table was the Latin advisory team from the San Antonio CIA. It included Rick Bayless, Maricel Percia, who had her own books on cacao, Roberto Santibáñez, who owns restaurants in La Fonda in Washington, D.C., and has several books.
Wow.
The food and wine director from the Wyndham Hotel, Fernando Salazar, who's also a big name in the culinary industry. And this close to having, what's his name? Enrique Olvera in the restaurant that night too, but he flew home that night.
Wow.
Which would have been super embarrassing.
That was your first, that was your initial dinner?
That was my first dinner.
And so, that's pretty daunting. Or were you just fired up? You had all the motivation in the world at that moment that you were ready to just hit this?
We were fired up that we were about as prepared as we can be.
Sure.
And the opportunity was about as good as it could be.
Wow.
And that's it.
That's amazing.
We knew we weren't great. We knew that there was about 100 years of experience combined in this room. And the dinner was terrible, but they stuck around and they left us all their notes. They were kind enough to leave us a lot of notes.
Sure.
And they saw passion there. And then 9 years later, Rick Bayless is back in San Antonio and asking us if we can stay open an hour later so that he can come over after his commitment. And so we did.
Wow.
And blew it out of the water. And that's somebody, I've met with Rick several times throughout the decade. Super awesome guy, and I owe a lot to what he's done to codify Mexican recipes, along with Diana Kennedy and some other really important people that have done that, and that has really helped educate that consumer and palate. And so we carry on that torch with the restaurant, because a lot of times people think that Mexican food is relegated to what you find close to the border. Sometimes it's these whack enchiladas with the beans, a little weird salad on the side, and there's no history behind it. Right. And even though that particular dish has its own history and its own narrative, we wanted to push past that and really start pulling apart the threads that created Mexico in the stories. And honestly, you pull the thread on any one ingredient and it almost takes you around the world sometimes.
Awesome. Yeah, I've looked at the plates and they're very intricate, and very well thought out. I can see that.
They are fancy, they're intricate, but at the bottom they are very humble recipes.
Okay.
So we never do anything that's just too off the wall. It has to have some respect to its origins.
Okay.
And so, you know, I always think about, would my grandma enjoy eating this?
That's a good,
cool.
That's a good way to think. Yeah.
It's a beautiful ceviche with some clarified fermented tomato water, but she would really enjoy this because all the flavors are pure and authentic, and where there's a lot of respect to it.
Excellent. So you definitely talked about the motivation, but what about your actual business brand, Mixtli? Like, what got you guys to say this is what the name is? Is it big importance at all?
Yeah. So Diego actually approached me with the name Mixtli. He had thought of it on the way on a plane from Dallas and was looking at the clouds. It resonated with me because I actually, at that time, I already had like an entire photo album of pictures of clouds. Because to me, that was something that was really important in my life for some reason, almost like a totem animal, right?
I'm sorry. I'm thinking like more like ink blots. Like you see clouds and you see different things, or how is that interpreted for you?
Both, a little bit of both. Sometimes just their beauty, just sometimes with the fact that they're free. It was just something that was just really personal.
Awesome.
And when he told me that, I was like, this is it. This is my sign. Yeah. Just like when the Aztecs saw the cactus with the eagle and the snake, like that was my
interesting
prophecy right
so
there.
What I'm getting from you so far is just follow your intuition. You're a person that from early on you really followed your own intuition and believed in yourself.
I was the black sheep my whole life.
Is that right?
Yeah. St. Raphael's had a whole bunch of rules because I made them create rules.
You started them. Rule number one, because
I didn't have a good relationship there. So.
Hey, but you know what? Sometimes when you're outside the box and always thinking outside the box, you know, you're not going to fit into the rest of the crowd and stuff like that. So I'm glad that you stuck with your intuition, because to this day you're inspiring a lot of people. So I wanted to ask you, as a man first, what inspires you?
What inspires me as a man? To be able to give people back to themselves, to show them the best version of themselves. If I can do that, then I think I'm winning. I think I've done something really good for the day. You know, it's really easy to judge somebody and to find their faults and to go off of that. But if you can look a little deeper and find something really great about them and build on that, I think that's a wonderful way to connect with another individual and see yourself in them as well. And now you can understand their struggles in the same way.
Absolutely. That's a beautiful part of being a human being. That's great. And then also, what inspires you as a chef when you put the coat on and you're doing your thing? What inspires you?
I haven't worn a coat in about 4 years.
I noticed. I noticed. But
I don't have chef pants. I don't have chef shoes. I mean, I'll cook. I do cook. I have to go in there. We work on new menus all the time. We're always tasting. I got to jump in when somebody's not. My job is the full spectrum, I can imagine, from counseling to emails to running an actual business behind the scenes and dealing with all the entities that want to put their hands in your pocket to washing dishes or figuring out the plumbing that day,
filling in the gaps. For sure. There's a lot to owning a business. I understand that 1,000%. You've already pretty much talked about it though, what inspires you as a chef and the things that you're doing with the restaurant, so we definitely got that. So let me ask you, how do you translate your struggles and triumphs as a chef to everyday life, or someone who's creating food, beautiful food?
How do I translate those struggles into my regular life? It's a whole thing of not giving up and trusting yourself, trusting that you have the talent to figure it out. And a lot of times it might be a few days of getting out all the bad stuff. Just like any writer or painter might have to work on it for a couple of days to really get all the bad stuff out. But those gems are in there somewhere. Sure, absolutely. And so that's kind of always been the passion to go do something really cool. I don't need as much of the ingredients as I use anymore. My diet's changed significantly over the last few years. Yeah, just like I don't eat dairy well, and I don't try to stay away from certain oils and this and that. But it's always been, I always felt like it's not just cooking. This world of culinary industry will take you anywhere. And it has taken me to, we were in Lagos a couple of years ago doing a masterclass on mole poblano. That's awesome. Yeah, crazy stuff happens all the time. That's great. And sometimes I'm at the lower end of that because I see other chefs taking it even further. But one of my huge inspirations was definitely Chef Andre Natera from Chef's PSA. I'm sure you guys are familiar. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. We were just on, super close friend, also co-founder of Paso Family Meal. But he had retired from his job at the Fairmont and was going to be done, and then had to come back to work. But instead of going back into the kitchen, he developed Chef's PSA, which I think reaches so many more people,
it really does,
and inspires so many more, and has its own angles. And I love seeing that the culinary industry has that available. And if you don't give up, if you dig deep, and if you find what you're really good at, that you'll find you're where you fit in all of this. In my team at that restaurant, not everybody's great in the kitchen, and the ones that are great, not everyone's good at the same things. And sometimes some of them are really good at doing other stuff like front of the house, where it requires a lot of public speaking and engagement. Some of them are fantastic at that. And then some of the ones that don't cook sometimes jump in to help a little bit, and they have talent, you know? And it's just fun to see who's good at what.
And then sometimes you're antisocial, you're better in the back of the house, you know, you're sticking to your own station and doing things like that.
Well, we get the antisocial out of you.
It really
everybody
does.
has to read scripts and talk about the food and present, and so I might take you outside to the patio for, you know, several days in a week until you get you get that scariness
monkey
out
off your
of
back.
you.
I get
and
you,
then
man.
you can spiel to me, you can spiel to everybody else.
Talking about inspiration though, I think I was inspired right now when you talked about your first dinner, because I know failure didn't cross your mind in that moment, but learning from that failure afterwards, you know what I mean, like whatever those little mishaps that you had, and then pushing forward, and that's the thing, is just putting yourself in the situation to make those mistakes, but also hit the ball out of the park. You know, you never know, you know what I mean? Put yourself in the realm and then just go for it and do your best, and then if you don't hit the mark, you know, next time you absolutely will.
And it was scary to have him in the restaurant, but at the same time, it wasn't like we weren't scared to fail. We were almost pretty sure we were. But we knew that was just the first step into getting our foot in the door.
Absolutely. You know? And the only way I can relate is when I opened up my personal chef business, people were like, what are you talking about coming to my house? Like, you know, and I was just like, if somebody lets me in, I'm going to make the hardest dish I know that I made in culinary school. I made a beef Wellington, and I tried to make it as beautiful as possible, and I practiced until somebody let me inside their house. And I was like, I did it, you know what I mean? Like, as hard as I had it in my mind, I just went out there and, you know, did it. So I kind of relate in that way.
And then you make it look easy, and then they're all excited about it.
Absolutely.
And it's fun.
It's fun. The experience, you know what I mean?
But I think when you get into those situations, it's not even about how scared are you or how bad are you going to fail at this. It's about how coachable are you. Right? So, like, you know, even a scout might see you swing at a ball and miss 9 out of 10, but something about your form and something about your grit is going to make you coachable, and they're going to be like, you know what, let's take this guy. We can work with him. And then the chefs that stay off the clock, they want to know the recipes, they want to know the chemistry of those things. Those are the ones you see, you know, like, you burnt a lot of dishes today, but I see how you want to change. I see how you want to, like, make it perfect. So you want to understand why these things work together. Absolutely. And then another question I had while you were talking about inspiration was, how did it feel when they called your name for the Michelin star, and you and Chef Diego are walking up to the stage? Well, the whole team walked up to the stage, and it felt great. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it's just been so many years of so much work, not just the 11 years at Michelin, but the 10 years before that. And in that moment, you know, during that time, it only felt like maybe the previous 6 months, but I had to be reminded by people like my wife, who had been through all of it, how many times there was that it felt like it was not going to make it another day, or not going to make it another week, or I have no more energy. You know, it was a lot of tough nights, a lot of tough decisions, a lot of sacrifices. I imagine, Chef. And I don't know, man. It's exciting, but my favorite thing was that my wife was there supporting me. We hugged until like almost everybody was on the stage, and then we had to let go. And I was inspired. First they called your name, you guys started walking, and you say team. You always say team, and I really respect that a lot. As your team walked up and everybody got on the stage, Chef Diego gave his coat to his wife. To Chef Alexander. I apologize. I thought that was his wife, but when he did that gesture just. It tore me up, because I know the hard work that goes into it, and you want to put the jacket on and feel it, but it's like, I didn't do this by myself. You know, this is not something that I did by myself. It's a team effort, and regardless if it's your family that's supporting you or the team that actually supports you physically, you know, there's a lot of hands that go into that. Absolutely. You know, being up there, I'm not the type of guy that's like, oh, I can't wait to put on the jacket. It's great to be up there and have all of that, but it was more important when they called Haley and Lauren the first, and I was like, damn, dude, the team is kicking ass, and they're the ones receiving these. They're the ones that really help us get here. And for them to get that recognition meant so much more. For Chef Alexana to be up there on the stage with us, who's been with us going on 9 years this January, we call her Chef Up because she runs the kitchen, right? She's a partner with us in the coffee shop because we don't want her to go anywhere. And so she's one of my best friends and one of our partners, and probably the most important entity in the restaurant as well. As far as leadership goes, she's right up there. And so being able to congratulate her and show her for the award, because a lot of times they're going to be like, hey, Rico and Diego, they're the heads of this and that, and yes, we did start this, yes, we're here for all of this, but they have also made something of it as well, and they deserve just as much recognition. And so to me, it's more important that they get it than I get it. I know what I am. I know where I stand. My family loves me. My people love me. I love me.
That's good.
And so that's all I need.
That's good, Chef. You've come full circle, I'm sure, from those days at St. Raphael, and I just love your attitude toward this whole situation, because I'm somebody at the outside looking in, as a personal chef. Maybe I don't get those types of words, but I definitely want the recognition. Like I want to figure out like how my plates can touch people that haven't had the personal chef experience. You know what I mean?
At the restaurant, if I can get somebody to cry, we did it.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. When somebody says, "Oh, this is good," versus, "God, that was good." You know what I mean? Like, oh, they're just sitting back and they're just in heaven.
They're crying because, man, I haven't seen this since my abuelita, or since I used to walk home. I used to work to school and pass by this place, and it smelled like this. Yeah. And these chilas remind me of that, or this dish.
Oh yeah.
We knocked it out of the park.
Absolutely. You're absolutely correct, sir. Yeah. And I wrote down Michelin driven, and the reason I wrote that is because I know the layers that go inside the plates. I know the long teachings that go into every person that's in the kitchen. I know your patrons come in and you talk to them, you make them feel welcome.
We're educating them as well.
Yeah, there's so many things that go into, not just, I'm going to get away from the Michelin again, just the quality that you bring in your restaurant, from the tapestries on just everything on the art on your walls, just the setup of your kitchen.
It's not just in the restaurant. It's the quality that I bring into my life.
True.
From the moment that I wake up, and it's so ingrained in me to open my eyes and just start giving thanks for my day and for what I have, and for what I'm about to achieve, for my failures, and then dig into it, to wake up, and then my wife is there and she smiles at me. That means I'm not in trouble. And I don't know. It's not that I'm always in trouble, but St. Raphael's kind of put me in that mindset that I was always going to be in trouble. And so to see her smile at me and then, make the sacrifices, like maybe I got home at midnight, but it's 5:30 in the morning. I got to get my son ready for basketball practice so that I can see him, and see him honoring his commitments. It's so special. So it all starts from the quality that you give yourself from the get, and then you just kind of start giving that to other people. That's a good way of paying it forward as well, is to like give them the best that you have.
Absolutely, without holding anything back. Yeah.
Whether that's something that is non-tangible, or your best favorite item that you own, and you're like, you know what, you really love it like that, have it. I don't need it.
I've been enlightened recently. Shout out Chef Anthony. This gentleman called me one day and just like, "Hey Chef, I seen you at the event we did, and what do you do? Like, what is it that you do?" I was like, "Man, come with me on a Monday, man. I go to 3 houses. I'll tell you everything about it." And he's kind of like doing an internship with me, but he just, what are we doing on Monday, Chef? He's like, "Send me the menu so I know what's going on." And it's like inspiring that I'm not like paying him. I don't like tell him what to do. He just gravitates toward what I'm doing and is really inspired by, what I say. This is how I do it. This is what's going on. And I see him and I'm like, this is what honestly it's about. Honestly, like passing it on and giving that education so that somebody else can do something even greater. You know what I mean?
A lot of times it's not even about trying to inspire somebody. It's just showing them what's possible.
Right. Opening up the horizons.
Some of the chefs that I look up to that have been in the game maybe 10 years longer than me, and I see how they negotiate management deals or get their restaurant in a hotel, and how do you manage that? How do you structure that deal so that it's beneficial for you? Because at the end of the day, my biggest thing is I need to pay my bills.
Yeah, right? You need to sustain what you're doing.
Have some money down the road too. Yeah. And so all of that works into play. And like, I love cooking, but that doesn't pay the bills. Being an owner, being a hustler pays the bills. Sure.
So that goes into my next question. What does the word entrepreneurship mean to you?
It means that you have to be the Mifwick. Motherfucker, what's in charge?
Motherfucker, what's in charge? I like that. Hell yeah.
Right? You have to be in control. You have to be not so much in control, but you have to be responsible and willing to take that ownership of everything. And a lot of times that means that you take ownership of your own faults. Maybe I'm not so good at this, so let me surround myself with people that are good at this stuff.
1,000%.
I'm nowhere near the level my sommelier or my bar director or my pastry chef. You know, they're all amazing at the stuff that they do, and so I just stick close to them, and I help them. I let them help me make decisions, and sometimes I hand over the reins and let them do that. Okay. And so entrepreneurship means in taking in all of that stuff. It also means that you're the only one that might not be able to call in today.
Absolutely. You're the one that's doing dishes, like you said, right?
But at the same time, like I tell everybody that I hire, I tell them several things. I tell them, one, this is a stage that we've created. You can launch your career from here if you want it. There is national attention at this restaurant. So if you want to do something amazing with your career, you can do it here. Some people actually have done that and taken it. But I also tell them, like, your job is to kick me out of the restaurant. It means that you're doing such a good job that I'm in your way. And there's been nights where, okay, well, guys, I'm going to go home because I've been walking around for an hour.
Everybody's doing their job to the tip top. That's
sometimes
awesome.
My only job is to go say hi to tables and, you know, just chat for a bit.
Sure. But that's definitely part of the experience, though. That's great.
Yeah.
So also, how do you maintain, like, what keeps you motivated as a chef entrepreneur?
Well, one thing is that I'm probably not good at other things. Okay. I don't know what the hell I would do if I wasn't here.
Oh yeah?
I really don't. I'm sure I'd be fine. You know, I'm not on my feet. My whole family's entrepreneurs, but so that little bit of that fear that I need to get some stuff done, I have some responsibilities that need to keep going, and also I guess the fact that I've been kind of good at it is a good motivation to keep trying to build on that.
Fire going,
yeah. To keep, I love that I get invited to do stuff like this and podcasts. And it seems like everything I wanted to do before I got into the culinary world is happening in any ways. I'm already in production. I'm always around cameras and microphones and lighting. And
we want to know how you did it, man. We want to see what the chemistry, what the formula was, you know.
And even now, Chef Alexandra had a wonderful idea, so I think we're going to start our own podcast.
There you go.
And with every menu and talk about the whens, wheres, and whys, and the influences of how this menu came together, and all the details of the menu, because there's so much information that sometimes doesn't always get played out during service.
Okay, so during the entrepreneur times and business owner times, how important is marketing and networking? Okay,
so humans have a great capacity to forget things quickly. So your presence has to be out there all the time. Now, whether you want to pay for marketing or don't is up to you. Whether that fits into your business model or not is up to you. We personally don't pay for any kind of advertisement. We've dealt with PR a few times, but that didn't seem to work out for us. At the end of the day, they were just answering emails. But what I really needed was somebody to get us into this next magazine and stuff like that. Okay. Because when you get into those circles, and a lot of times these magazines or TV shows or festivals have their little circles of chefs that they pick from, and so you have to kind of find your way into that, because that's going to keep you relevant and get you into the next circle. And so you kind of work them, and you have to pick and choose, although sometimes you have to say no. Sure. No is the most powerful word in the English language.
Yeah, right, exactly. Right?
And sometimes you have to know when to say no, but sometimes you have to say no to your own ego about like, well, they're not going to pay me this much to do this, but if I'm here, it might be really important. And you never know. The world has a wonderful way of throwing great surprises at you.
1,000%. Oh yeah, you never know.
Not expecting.
Absolutely.
And so you got to be ready to receive.
So the networking, does that go into the same thing, or like when you're getting to know other chefs or other restaurateurs?
Yeah. You have to be affable and ready to accept. You also have to be careful who you let into your circle.
Oh yeah.
Also, you don't want to be chasing. Early on, I learned that you shouldn't be chasing other circles. We were young, and we wanted to be in the hot circles, and we kind of were like getting the shoulder
elbows.
It's like, okay, cool, let's do our own thing. We'll create our own circles, and it's just kind of like the same vibe that we bring when we go out. It's it doesn't matter how boring the party might be. If you bring your own fun, if you bring your own party, it's going to be a blast.
Nice.
Yeah,
so
that kind of plays into everything.
And then those people gravitate that belong in your circle,
but,
for sure.
But keep, bridges are short, and don't burn them. If you don't like what you're working at, that's cool. Be honest about it. If you don't like your relationship, be honest about it. It's so much better to be honest about it and let people know where you really stand and where they stand, so that you can move on to your next best thing. Not everybody's a good fit for each other, but it's when you try to hide that it burns those bridges. Sure, so I've had a lot of people leave that want to burn bridges. I've had other people that leave that don't. When you meet chefs, get their number.
Absolutely.
Follow them on Instagram. Hype them up.
It's true.
Have your group of people that are that challenge you and are really good at stuff, and aren't trying to just take from your energy, but also trying to give to the energy that you put in. Yep. And that in itself will create its own magic.
That's great advice, Chef. Honestly, like in the past, I'd say year, I got my head out of the clouds of just like trying to do the business and get more clients and do this. And I was like, you know what? I've met a lot of people, man. There's a lot of great people. And I started reaching out, and that now that I'm in this like chef circle with Chef Olivares and Chef Graham and Lozano.
Chef Marco's awesome. Is he still in town?
Honestly, he's bouncing in and out. I think he's in Redoso. He has like an Airbnb.
I think of him as a chef's chef.
Yeah, he really is, huh?
He's so cool under pressure.
Absolutely.
He's one cool cucumber.
And when I get a phone call from him, I answer it quick. Like, how can I help you, chef? Like, what's going on? What's
it's
the deal?
so nice, man, and calm and chill. Like
big time.
Big ups to Chef Marcos.
Yeah, big ups. So any business plans for the future? Any big ideas you have on the burner?
I think it's time for the book. It's been in the back burner for a long time. Luckily, a lot of that, the meat of that book is already in my computer somewhere. Okay.
So is it like a book about yourself or
no? It'll be a book about Michelin.
Okay.
A book about Michelin, maybe 10 menus. Okay. And go through, because each menu has so many stories, and so you talk about the arrival of the Spanish and how they find routes, and it just awesome. So many stories.
You already have it written, like you said. It's not written on paper.
I mean, 11 years of doing menus, about 50 some menus.
Sure. Yeah. That's awesome. Do you have any advice for a chef, cook creating their own brand right now and going outside the box?
Yeah, keep your head down. Be out there. If you're gonna put yourself out there and you're creating your brand, then cool, then do that. But also keep your nose clean. Be cool about when you interact with other people. And sometimes
learn from them.
Sometimes you have to not go to that party. Sometimes you have to not have that drink.
Absolutely. Have some self-control for sure.
Yeah, it's better to act wild on your own than to act wild in public, because right now with every camera in the world is on everybody.
Absolutely.
So it's like you just have to be really cool about what you're doing. Yeah, keep your nose clean. Don't give up. Be humble. Give kudos to honor the ones that put in the work as well. Make sure that they get the respect as well.
Absolutely. So this is a question that we ask pretty much every entrepreneur that comes on the show, but can you define the line between confidence and cockiness?
Yeah, confident is knowing that you can do this one way or another. Cockiness is expecting that you're going to do it even though you can't. And put it onto somebody else. Nobody likes cockiness. Not even cocky people like another cocky person. And so there's no need to bring that. One of the other things that we have at the restaurant, one of the other rules is keep the harmony in the kitchen. Super important not to break the harmony. You go into this place to work, creativity is high, servitude is high, and so what we're doing is magic. We're creating magic to feed people that's going to go into their bodies, and these are the people that are paying our bills. It's a symbiotic relationship. And so if you go in there with your hang-ups and you're causing other people to feel like they're walking around eggshells around you, you don't belong there. You don't belong in this business. Like to be in this business is to innately be a humble person. True. And to want to give, and so harmony in the kitchen is huge. It's huge.
Absolutely. You've answered most of the questions. I have one last question, sir, and it's how do you pay it forward? I think you want to go into family meal, but is there anything that you do besides family meal that you do to pay it forward?
Man, I guess there's a lot of things that I don't ever really talk about. Okay. Just because whether we help somebody with financially or mentorship, there's a lot of things that I don't think that need to be exposed to anybody else other than the people that were involved. Sure. But it's always about being ready to give of yourself in the best ways. The best of yourself is the way that you can really pay it forward. Mentorship is huge. So teach people. Don't hide your recipes. Don't hide your secrets to success.
Secret techniques and stuff like that. Yeah.
You're only going to be as hot for a minute, and then that light's going to burn out and somebody else is going to be hot. So pay forward that way, and give wherever you can. Like,
that's beautiful. So this El Paso Family Meal, what was the inspiration for this?
So Paso Family Meal, that's my baby. That's so around 2014 2015, we're doing the circuits of all the festivals, food and wine and this and that, and I keep running into chefs that were from El Paso, and maybe I didn't realize right away, but hey, Chef Andre, you're from El Paso, Chef Gabe, like all of these dudes, cool people from El Paso, and eventually it came down to like, we need to just go ahead and get together, come back home, do some live fire cooking outside, and then we had this whole idea of what the festival was going to look like or the dinner was going to look like, and use our clout to give back to the community. And so that's how we started. Our first dinner was at Ardovino's. Always a lot of respect for the people over there at Ardovino's Desert Crossing. even Chef Danny is one of the founding members of the gang, and they helped us put our first dinner together. And we donated to Annunciation House, who was helping migrant families as they were being released from ICE detention centers and had nowhere to go, nothing to eat, no directions, and they just kind of helped them get to their next leg of their journey. Sure. So we thought that was very fitting for families and family meals. Eventually, the second year, we went ahead and jumped on board with El Pasoans Fighting Hunger, and that's been our benefactor ever since. We're on our 8th dinner. And so they have a larger reach and they have a bigger need, and we felt that it felt more in line with what we were doing. But essentially it was like, let's get the gang together, let's get these guys together, go back home and cook, and let's find chefs that are in El Paso as well, and we are going to cook together. And then every year we kind of rotate the lineup with different people and include as many as we can. Nice. So like I said, the second one was in Austin, the third one was in Jamestown, Rhode Island on the beach. So 200 people, sold out. A rainy day, it was beautiful to see so much support from El Paso so far away. Wow. Then we came back again, another one in Austin, a couple in San Antonio, and a couple in El Paso. That's fun. We just did our last one at 1700 with Chef Mike.
Right. Yeah. Excellent. That was fun. And
and it's amazing how many chefs come out that aren't even on the lineup. They just want to be in the room.
Oh, it's the truth. It's the truth. If I wasn't working, I would have definitely tried to be there too, just to be hands or eyes on what the heck was going on back there with all those chefs conspiring to make those plates and put that food out. It was beautiful.
When we started this, it was a lot of the chefs in El Paso are just for each other. Like, there's not a lot of camaraderie, and quite honestly, I've never experienced that. I only see camaraderie. I only see passion and talent. Like, there's some bad dudes around here.
Absolutely.
And women, of course, like bad.
Absolutely. I was lucky enough to meet, because I knew Chef Olivares' sister, and she always talked about him, and I was like, oh, but then once he opened Lola, I started researching him, and I was like, damn, this guy's a badass. Oh my God. Went to his restaurant, got to know him, and right off the bat, he's like, yeah, you want to come to the back kitchen? Like, you just opening up these doors.
Cool,
whereas before,
peaceful,
top chefs were like just kind of get out of my way type stuff, and I was like, that's not what was my MO of top chefs. And this guy opened up the doors completely. Chef Oscar, they're so nice, Oscar's it just started the whole domino effect of meeting other chefs and stepping into nice, beautiful kitchens. Inspired me tremendously, and so I'm on a new mission myself. I started this podcast as a way to pay it forward. I'm lucky enough to be a personal chef. My dream was to be in a kitchen and somebody say, hey chef, what's for dinner? You know what I mean? And so once I got there, I wanted to inspire others with this podcast and have people like you that have a story and a real mission in life, and not just, I can't wait to be a millionaire type bullshit. You know what I mean? So
I still can't wait.
Of course, in due time, chef. But I just want to say, support this man on YouTube. Support this man on Instagram. He's at Rico_Torres. Also the rest Rico_Torres.
2 underscores.
2 underscores. Oh, so you don't miss it. And then at Michelin Cloud, that's MIXTLI Cloud, CLOUD. And then also at El Paso _Family Meal. Good way to support this gentleman if you like the podcast as well. Big thank you to our military and vets. And happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I hope you have time to enjoy your family and sit down for a meal. Thank you for tuning in. This is the Grind2Hard podcast. Please remember, stay positive, stay motivated, and keep going. Thank you, Chef. I really appreciate you, man. Thank you for your time. Cheers. I appreciate that. Was awesome.